Hey, will the Stuttgart Surge possibly get their first win of the season? For my guest interview, I went to the trenches and I got an old lineman. First one of the Base Coverage podcast. Week 7. Let's talk about it.
We doing everything they talk about. You know I'm everything a boss about. Not putting work and gotta toss them out. I'm really biting, they just barking out. I'm really riding, they just parking now. His street, what to talk about. See the big H when I'm walking out.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Base Coverage presented to you by Knoah Teamwear. I'm your host, Jamal Clay, and we got a short one for you today. Week 7 is going to be a quick week of games. There's only 3 on the slate. We're going to recap last week a little bit in terms of picks. Shout out to my competitor and guest picker, Aaron Ellis, who ended up having a perfect weekend and ended up winning last week. I'm a little bit on a downward spiral, but starting this week, we're going to look to change, to turn the page a little bit and get things rolling a little bit. So today, our guest picker, we went into the trenches. We got an offensive lineman join the group. Basil Weber, tackle from the Frankfurt Galaxy, comes by to talk some ball, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about this week's games a little bit. So first, here's a quick word from our partners over at Knoah Teamwear. Welcome back to the show, everyone. Today, our guest athlete of the day in the ELF. Today, I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I decided to go in the trenches a little bit and bring in an offensive lineman, my first offensive lineman to base cover. So today we have offensive lineman tackle for the Frankfurt Galaxy, Basil Weber. What's going on, big fella? How you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, Jamal? I'm really happy to be here. Really cool. Thanks for the invite. And I appreciate being on your show.
Most definitely, man. I appreciate you coming on. Obviously, I mentioned before, I like to, get a little bit of variety of type of athletes. And you're the first offensive lineman to be joining the show. So you're representing the big fellas today.
All right, great. I feel blessed.
Hey,
so have some light on the trenches.
Hey, so speaking of trenches, one of the things I wanted to dive into, the play in the league based on what you've seen, the play for offensive linemen and going against some of the defensive linemen in this league. So last year, it's no surprise, the offensive lineman was probably the weakest group out of all the athletes. Out of all the position groups in the league last year, with only probably like a handful that were top quality guys. This year, we've seen a vast improvement. Obviously, you signed with Frankfurt and a couple other guys joined the league, and now you're seeing more quality at that position. So from your perspective and your experience playing in the ELF, talk a little bit about the offensive line play and the defensive lineman that you've been going against and how it differs.
All right. So if I would say different to what I played before. So I played before in the GFL 1 at the New York Alliance, for example. I also played in Finland and also some time in France. So I would say that the play in the trenches is definitely much more physical, and the level and the intensity is way higher than anything I could face before. I would say that the level of play between all the D-liners I could face is much more leveled. So let's say if you would play any team, you wouldn't have a big drop-off in quality. Before, it could be that if you were in a top team and you would play maybe a team which would be a little bit weaker, that you would face D-line players which weren't as sound as when you would face a top team. But I feel like in the ELF, at least the teams I faced until now, all of the D-lines were well-coached, they were intense, they were physical. You could see that they would work out, go to the gym, they were really serious about what they were doing. So the level is high, and every snap you have to be 100% and fully focused to not get beaten. So the competition is definitely out there. And I have to give a shout out to, for example, DN Leon Balog from Vienna Vikings. He's a great pass rusher, and it was a tough matchup. And actually, most of the guys were really great and interesting matchups. So I have to say that I really love that level of competition and the challenge it brings. and it makes the play in the trenches much more interesting for sure.
Yeah.
Another point is also the level of coaching. You can see that the D-line really reads your steps. They know exactly what to do in what situations. And sometimes they also read your alignment and how your weight is shifted and all that. So, yeah, the level is definitely out there. It's really high, and it makes it really interesting.
Yeah, and it's good to see that, the league not only bringing in quality players at, the offense, defensive line position, but bringing in coaches to coach those guys, develop those guys, and provide that, teaching the proper techniques and stuff like that. Like I said, last year wasn't a big – last year, there weren't a lot of guys. There were only a handful of guys that, were quality. This year, I feel like, probably one team may have, the same amount of guys that are quality this year than all of the league last year. So that's definitely some good to watch, in the league as well. So
definitely.
Let's recap this past week versus the Superstar Surge. Obviously, they've been making a lot of changes to their roster and to their personnel. And it was a close battle, went to a couple overtimes, going up against the defending champ Galaxy. Talk a little bit about, the Surge in terms of what makes them different now compared to who they were beginning of the season, and, some of the challenges that they faced when you guys went up against them this past weekend.
All right. Well, the Surge that we saw in the first couple of weeks compared to now is not the same team, I feel. Bringing the new quarterback really, I would say, made their offense way more dangerous and more dynamic. We can see that he's really good at scrambling and rolling out, and I feel like their offense actually improved a lot, also personnel-wise.
Definitely looks it.
Yeah, definitely. So I would say the Surge are like right now on an uptrend, and I think their defense also played solid. So we had some trouble against that. It's difficult to say the reasons for now. I would say we should have obviously made less mistakes, cleaned up some things, and there is part of the games we really need to work on, especially on offense. So I think the Surge are on uptrend, and I could even see them win some games, like unexpected ones, because they will definitely surprise some teams.
I could see the Surge. I could see the Surge upsetting, for all intents and purposes, the hopes of some potential playoff teams with the way they've been playing the past couple of weeks. It's, they're a team that's playing with more urgency. They're a team that's competing. They're a team that's, making things interesting, and, definitely a team that teams shouldn't take lightly. Obviously they haven't won a game, but they've been competitive. Even before the changes, they've been competitive in, some of the games that they played. So it was definitely a thrilling game to watch them go up against you guys. And obviously you guys were able to pull it through.
We were luckily. I mean, it was definitely an intense game, and it wasn't easy. I think in that league now we are at a point, maybe in the first year there were more imbalances, but now I think there is, I will maybe exclude the Rams out of that for now, because they're a new team and they are still adapting to the league. But the teams which are already there from last year improved a lot, and there is no easy games, I would say. So definitely underestimating anyone would be a big mistake.
Most definitely, and that's when we go back to the league, and what makes this different from the most is even some of the teams that are at the bottom right now may be some of the teams. Maybe one of the best teams in other divisions, which obviously is a credit to the teams that are at the top in this league. Let's look forward towards the second half of the season for the Galaxy. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, as the defending champs, obviously you didn't play on the team last year, but now you're part of the organization. So as defending champs, do you guys feel like you're playing with a target on your back each week?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, everyone wants to beat the Galaxy. I feel it's like kind of when you're a team and you face the, for now, defending champ, obviously you have maybe even more motivation to beat them, because when you get a W against us, you make a statement to the league. And I mean, I feel like everyone is kind of prepared to face us the best way, and definitely doesn't lack motivation. So we can definitely feel the target we have for sure.
Now, last question I want to ask you. We're at the halfway mark right now, right? But the second half of the season is going to be even more intense because, there's film out there. We know who teams are, tendencies, and it's hard to beat a team twice. You guys are you guys are one of the toughest conferences in the league, that Central Conference. And, obviously you just won a conference game against the Sturge, but you still got Vienna and the Raiders who are, competing for playoff spots as well. What do you guys have to do the second half of the season, in order to make sure you guys can secure a playoff spot, whether that's winning the conference or getting the 4th seed? What do you guys have to do the second half of the season to, try to secure that playoff spot?
Yeah. All right. Well, mathematically, it's really important right now that we win every game, obviously. Yeah. That would put us at the second spot of this conference and make us from the win-loss ratio the best team, the best second place team out of all. So for us, the objective obviously is to win every game. Yeah. We can't afford any more losses. And we have to see also what Vienna does. Maybe they will have an upset loss, but yeah, we will see about that.
They still got the Raiders, so we'll see.
Exactly, the Raiders are also, according to me, on an uptrend, and they're really a very, very strong team and a serious opponent. So it will be definitely a huge challenge. And we have to review the film against them and see the mistakes we did, clean up on that, and improve. Definitely, we have a lot of work ahead of us. But for now, luckily, everything is on our own hands for the playoffs still. Yeah. So it's just on us to put in the work and stick together as a team and get better.
Yeah, and you guys are right in the middle of that cluster that I like to say. So it's gonna get pretty interesting, pretty intense going out season to watch how this cluster separates from the pack. So, hey, Bazel, I appreciate you coming on, man. Like I said, my first offensive lineman, so I definitely appreciate your support and hopping on to the show.
I appreciate it too.
Yeah, most definitely, man. You guys can catch the Frankfurt Galaxy and Bazel Weber this week versus the Cologne Centurions in their Week 7 matchup. Those guys are at home, so it should be a pretty intense game, as obviously the Frankfurt Galaxy have to keep winning in order to improve their playoff chances, and Cologne kind of been on the downward spiral, but they're going to look to turn the corner. So, hey, Bazel, I appreciate you coming on, man. Listen, this won't be the last time, we chop it up. But
thanks,
again,
Jamal.
Take care, and we'll talk soon, my man. Welcome back, everyone. Let's dive into the games a little bit. First one we got on the slate, we have the Berlin Thunder versus the Leipzig Kings. Berlin Thunder, they're a little bit on the hot streak right now. They're rolling in the right direction and getting things going. Nice win last week versus the Russell Panthers. The Kings are they're inconsistent. There's a lot going on there, though. Obviously, they just released Jordan Barlow, who was battling some injuries, and they signed ELF All-Star Connor Miller to the team. So we'll see how that plays out this week. Kings got to get the ball rolling. They're at a pivotal point in the season where it's like if they want to be a playoff contender, then they got to start, winning these games and winning these matchups versus these close competitors. Berlin looks good. There's no doubt about it. It's going to be interesting to watch them go to Leipzig and see, how they play, see if they get another win under the belt and, break the 500, break over 500 and go at 4-3. But we'll see what happens. This week, I'm going to rock with the Leipzig Kings. I think they bounced back from that embarrassing win versus the Raiders. I think Connor Miller is going to be able to provide some stability at the position, which is something that, they weren't able to have due to some injuries. And I think that defense is not going to give up, 30-something odd points, just like they did last week versus the Raiders. Last time these two plays, it was a close game. I expect another one. I'm rolling with the Leipzig Kings to win this game. Next one on the slate, the Cologne Centurions travel to Frankfurt to play the defending champ Frankfurt Galaxy. Cologne's on the downward spiral. There's no doubt about it. The past couple of weeks, the offense has been held in check. completely different offense from what we've seen the first couple of weeks, where they've been averaging about 40-some points a game. I think the past 3 weeks, they've only been averaging probably 18 points a game. And in order for that team to, get going and trend in the right direction, that offense really needs to click on all cylinders. Frankfurt Galaxy coming off a tough win against the Surge, a real gritty win, something that they need, a conference win. I think they're home again against the Centurions. Last time they played them, they really had their number. I don't really think this is a good matchup for the Centurions. I think Frankfurt coming off a win like that versus Stuttgart is going to look to sharpen some things up. And for me, until I'm able to see Cologne play some good defense and, offense look, more like they did the first couple weeks, I don't know if I can really trust them at the moment. So I'm going to rock with the Frankfurt Galaxy to win this game versus the Cologne Centurions. Lastly, we have the Stuttgart Surge travel to Poland to play the Wrocław Panthers. Hey, the Surge are a different team now. The personnel is different. The energy is different. They compete. And they're going to end up upsetting a lot of teams, or a couple teams, the second half of the season that got some playoff hopes. Wrocław Panthers, similar to some other teams that we've already talked about, they're kind of been going in the downward spiral. Teams been battling a lot of injuries, especially on that offensive line. But they do need more out of the quarterback, Slade Jarman. Their defense has to play better. There's too much talent on the defense, and with defense coordinator Dave Likens, for them to be where they are right now. This is going to be a very, very close one. But I'm going to rock with the Stuttgart Surge. I'm going to say they go to Wrocław, they pull off the upset, especially the way that they've been competing. And it's going to be interesting to see the Stuttgart Surge team. The rest of the stretch down the way, because I definitely think they're playing to win. They're not playing to just roll over. So I'm going to say the Stuttgart Surge upset the Wrocław Panther this week. Those are the picks. Today, our guest picker, we're going up against ELF Crunch Time, and his picks. We go head to head. He picks the Berlin Thunder versus over the Kings. We both have the Galaxy, and we both have the Surge beating the Panthers. So Thunder Kings is a big matchup for us. Remember, if Athletes Forum wins or ties, we're giving out some free gear. And this is the week we're going to look to turn the corner a little bit. But in order to enter into that contest, make sure you follow Knoah Teamwear and make sure you follow Athletes Forum on Instagram in order to enter a chance to win in the contest. So thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Let's talk about it. Drop a comment. There's a lot of ball left in the season to talk about as we head towards the second half of the season. But it's definitely going to be an interesting week for the 3 games we got. So thank you guys for joining. This won't be the last time we chop it up.
Hard work, they don't know about it.